Let's get ready for the final segment of the conclave, which is real talk, inspiring success stories. And yes, let me welcome our eminent, inspiring ladies of today. Let me introduce Advocate Flavia Agnes, women rights lawyer and co-founder and director, Majlis Law. Ms. Agnes is an Indian women's rights lawyer with expertise in marital, divorce, and property laws. She began working in the field of women law in the 1980, and since 1988, Agnes has been a practicing lawyer at the Mumbai High Court. As a lawyer, she is concerned with women's rights, particularly women's economic rights. Her goal is to solve women's inequality within the Indian economic structure, especially regarding property ownership. Our next speaker, let me introduce Dr. Ananta Singh Raghuvanshi, founder, member, and president, NAREDCO MAHI, an exceptional leader with an indelible contribution of 30 years to the real estate industry. She has led and launched over 100 successful products. Dr. Raghuvanshi is a TEDx and Seeding STEM Cambridge speaker on leadership, and she coaches women entrepreneurs and mentors, rural executives. So these are our inspiring ladies of today, and I'm privileged and honored to be in conversation with Advocate Flavia Agnes and Dr. Ananta Singh Raghuvanshi. So Ms. Agnes, starting with you, you are a women's rights lawyer and pioneer of women's movement in India. But how did it all start? What led you to do what you are doing now? What was the backstory?
Okay, that starts with my own personal life. I've been a victim of domestic violence for 13 long years, and I raised 3 children in this situation. And this was way back in the 1980s. And there were no ways out of the situation. And it was a long struggle for me to put my life back on track. So that's where I started, and through that, I struggled and groped and found some ways out of the situation. And today, I am here where I am due to this struggle. And having done that, I feel the Majlis is set up so that other women will find it easier to find a way out of the situation.
Okay. So, yeah, of course, a lot of people just accept their fate. This is what it is. I think you not only went forward, changed your own situation, but now you are trying and helping a lot of other women to find their way out from difficult situation. Dr. Ananta, you've been in this industry, in the real estate industry for 30 long years, more than 30 years now. I'm sure at that point of time, real estate was a completely different sector, more male dominated. How was your journey? The prejudices probably that you faced, and also the support that you might have received.
A very good evening, Sapna, and also to Advocate Flavia, and of course our audience. Sapna, I think I was quite blessed that I joined the industry sometime in 1991 when women had actually started entering the sector. They were very few, but they were definitely there. And also, I think I was lucky to be working with organizations which really didn't hold age or gender or any of these things as a benchmark for your growth or your performance or for judging you. So I was very lucky in that sense. You're aware that my journey has been between DLF, EMAR, MGF, DMAC, and Experion, and all of them had very professional leadership. Also, these are very organizations which are very proactive in addressing any kind of microaggressions that may be happening in the system, where indirectly people may be saying things which could upset or offend an executive, or particularly the younger lot, So HR was very proactive. The leadership was very conscious, and they actually wanted a very healthy mix of men and women both working and contributing. So in that sense, I would say I was very lucky. But yes, having said that, when you are competing with men only, because like I said, there are very few women, and the more junior you are, the wider the base of the pyramid. And when you are in direct competition with men versus when you are reporting to a man or you are equal to a man, of course, the behavior changes because there's only that much room at the top. So sometimes with wit, sometimes with humor, sometimes you give hell and sometimes you spit fire. But depending on the situation, you deal with the situation and you move on and deal with every day as it comes. So that's what it is. I think if we were to pick up a character from Mahabharata, the ideal character would be a Vidur. If you want to do well and get out of junior management into middle management and middle to senior and then senior to top management, because if you are always speaking up firmly and politely with logic, with data to support, nobody can deny you the right decisions, the right answers, and the right platforms and the right growth trajectory as well. So that's all that I would like to say on this.
Right. I think
Thanks.
you pointed out one very important point, that when you are at a junior level, it's a completely different kind of a interaction. But when you are
Yes.
in direct competition at the top leadership with men
Yes.
leaders,
Yes.
you need to change your strategy, how you can, you cannot be, you need to
Yeah.
be very diplomatic at a lot of times. Advocate Flavia, you heard Ananta ji, you talk about economic rights of women. How are you seeing it across organizations at junior level? Like she said, when men leaders are looking at their junior staff, their interaction is completely different. But when they are at the same level as them, it's complete changes. How you are seeing that?
Actually, I'm not much exposed to corporate world. I work more in the NGO sector,
Right.
and my particular domain is matrimonial situation, conflict marriages, and how women negotiate for their rights within that. But since you have asked me this question, let me answer you to the extent it's possible for me to answer. That according to me, women negotiate quite well, and they're able to hold their own quite a lot. But of course, there are situations which are very, very challenging, and in these situations, sometimes they falter. So it's very important for them to know that how to manage their cards and how well to strategize in order to get over these challenges and move ahead. This is what I feel.
Yeah, I think, and that works in any segment or any sector, whether it is corporate or whether it is working at the bottom of the pyramid, or in, I think what you said, that, how you play your cards and how you deal with the situation is what women need to probably learn. And is that what you are working at, training a woman towards that through Majlis?
We're not working there in the corporate sector. What we're trying to work with, help women who have problems, how to negotiate their problems and how to move ahead, because women get stuck into these situations and they're not able to see a way out. So our main job is to find out where their rights are located and how they are able to negotiate these rights, because there are a lot of rights available for women, but they're not aware. They don't know what their rights are, and they don't know how to go about to these rights. So our job is to find that out, find out her strength and weaknesses, and help guide her and help her to negotiate this domain.
I think, yeah, I think everything starts with creating awareness first. What are your rights? What are your responsibilities? And then taking it forward from there. Dr. Ananta, like you mentioned, that even today, there are not enough women in leadership positions. And that's not only for real estate, but many other industries as well. Just now before this, we had a session on tech space where, the moderator pointed out that, in terms of percentage, there are hardly any women who are owners of a unicorn or a tech, organization. What more can be done, to have women in leadership position?
So first and foremost, it's the woman herself who has to actually get hold of her steering of the car and press the accelerator. So if the woman is ready for that ride, then she is unstoppable. Now, how do we create those type of women? I think it's the family, it's the society, it is the environment, it's the organization. It's a very complex web. Now, once the woman is ready that, yes, I have to do this, then the rest of the job is a lot easier. Because once you are on that path, and growing on that path and reaching the topmost level that you can based on your competence is a journey which people can handhold you through. And that's what met on several occasions where, through NAREDCO MAHI, you are aware that we are working on gender integration, we are working on skilling, through Nippon, we are working on NIRED, where RERA coaching is being done on weekends. So whatever is missing, now if it is, what is holding them back from reaching the top? First, let's deal with that problem. Is it their own health edge? Is it the I part of it where they need to have certain qualities to grow further and gain more confidence in that setup and in that scenario? When they take breaks due to reasons, coming back and again having that confidence to come back and then restart where they left. So HI. Now, J, are they getting a just treatment there when they are there? Now, the I has another, so G, guilt, because ultimately, whatever you may say, the truth is that in most households today, and mine included, when it comes to elder care or organizing stuff around, of course, help is available, but or whether it comes to care of children, the primary responsibility and the caretaker is always the woman. So you are managing your own health, physical, mental, you're managing your home, and you have to ensure that you are qualified, competent, and physically fit to deal with the work pressure happening in office. Now, in office also, what happens is, Sapna, I'll pick up your phrase. You called it brave and beyond. So you have to be brave and beyond. That's one thing. The second thing is you have to be self-motivated. You have to stop looking back and say, let me make today so awesome that yesterday gets jealous. Because if you hang on to those grudges, again, you are stuck in a space which is not healthy for you.
Right.
The third is that if women start looking at each other, okay, because we are only 2-3 generations out into mainstream and into corner offices. So if women start competing with each other, that's further disaster with a capital D. So there, I think it should be like, I'm too focused to entertain negativity and I'm too classy to associate with drama. And it's not that these things don't happen. I mean, wherever there are people together, all people are different. And half the time, the trouble may not be created by you. It could be created by somebody else. But you have to be matured enough to communicate and resolve those things.
That's right.
And ultimately introspection, when sometimes God doesn't want to fix your situation because he's actually using it to fix you. So a lot of times they say, why is this happening to me? Why did my boss say this to me? And this is happening and that is happening and that person got this, I didn't get this. There is something, if it's happening again and again, and if it's a pattern, then there's something you have to fix in yourself.
Right.
You can go to a trusted person. I can come to a Tripti and Sapna and say, where am I going wrong with my life after 32 years? You will tell me honestly. I may or may not agree with it, but there are always those few people in the system. More often than not, I have had lovely friends in HR, lovely friends who are lawyers, great friends who are architects. They have nothing to do with your subject and they are not in direct competition. So when in doubt, if you feel, did I say a bit too much to that junior of mine? They will give you honest feedback.
Right.
So only thing is, but how open are you to be receptive to that? Now at MAHI, on Wednesdays, I'm available. Ask me anything.
That's right. I think some very important points that you made here. First is the guilt factor. Second is the changing of mindset by women themselves. Teamwork, mentoring each other. That is important. And introspection. how to fix your situation. What Advocate Flavia Agnes also mentioned, that fixing the
Yeah.
situation. Ms. Agnes, you are working for property rights as well for women, economic rights of women. What are the scenario on ground that you saw, you have witnessed, and what are the challenges, like when you, get these women to stand up for their rights?
Women don't want to stand up for their rights, and women want to give up their rights, particularly the economic rights, property rights, etc. And when it comes to fighting, they always take a step back and say, I don't want to approach the court. I don't want to fight legally. If you can negotiate and get me some rights, that's fine. But more than that, I don't want to. So this is generally the mental makeup. Very few women will come to me and say, this is my right. I've been deprived of my right, and I want to get this right, even if it meant approaching the court of law. I find very few women doing that. So in a situation like, I don't say our courts are great. Everybody's scared of entering this legal arena, and matters drag on for a long time. So we need a lot of grit and determination. But there are few women who are ready to do that. But overall, my advice to them is, if you can't get to negotiation, then you have to take the next step. You can't just lie low and say, let it be, I don't want to fight. That cannot be. And I'm not talking about just property rights in ancestral home or your parental home, but even in your matrimonial home. So a lot of time during divorce and all, women give up their rights. They don't want to fight. And in a lot of cases, divorce means poverty for women, because they have to give up their rights to get what they want, to get their freedom, to get out of this. So it is at this situation, at this point of time, that they need the support that we give them, for them to stand firm there and affirm their rights, particularly their rights regarding matrimonial home, their rights regarding child custody, their rights regarding a lump sum alimony. A lot of these things women have to fight. We also have cases of sexual harassment at workplace. So where actually women are bulldozed into submission, and a few women only will come forward. We have seen what's happening to our women wrestlers, and the way they have been treated. So you can imagine what happens to ordinary women who want to file a case or approach the police station. So this is in a public, glaringly brought to a public domain, and we all have seen this. So this is a very important arena. What happens at the workplace for women, particularly women in the lower rung, and how do we move forward, and how do we create work environment that are gender friendly, that are friendly towards women, and we need to work towards creating that awareness.
Right. I think there's a lot of work to be done on those fronts, because women are trained right from their childhood to sacrifice for their families, to sacrifice for the people around. That is how they have been brought up, right from the beginning. Some very tough questions, but there is another very when the Me Too movement happened, there were critics also of that women are taking advantage of that. There is a perception in workplace that women are being unfavorably biased. They are being given extra perks or extra amenities just for being a woman. Dr. Ananta, how much do you agree to that the feminist movement are unfavorably biased towards women, instead of creating a neutral, gender neutral, even playground for all workmen?
Yeah, so Sapna, first, my personal view, I believe in #embrace equity. I'm not a feminist at all. And I just believe in equal opportunities. So मैंने कहीं सुना था in one of the conferences, and I will repeat that because I really loved it. It said, मैं शक्ति हूँ, मैं सशक्त हूँ, न कम न ज्यादा, मैं नारी हूँ, इसलिए आधे की अधिकारी हूँ. So, I mean, what are we talking about? And what are you asking me? Do we have 50% women in real estate today? Are we 50-50? If we are 50-50, then it's a fair distribution. If we are more than 50, then you can ask me a question like that कि भाई feminism आया और इतना कुछ हुआ और बड़ा हमने help किया और out of turn लोग इधर उधर पहुंच गए. We are talking of corner offices, 1%, 2%, internationally maybe 15% at best. So how can it be that unfair they are reaching there? The fact is that you have to do twice as much as a person to be in that same chair. Everybody, be it media, be it lawyers, be it corporate sector, be it anywhere, even pro bono work, women are actually doing twice as much.
Right.
And they are multitasking. Only then can they survive. And I must share with you at this point of time, since you have raised this, there's a lady called Dr. Rumit Bilan. She's a PhD, and she has done a lot of study on the tall poppy syndrome. Now, what is the tall poppy syndrome? Wherever there are ambitious, overperforming, intelligent women, unfortunately, the system around starts working towards, unconsciously also at a lot of time, at cutting them down without even realizing what they're doing. So she said, organizations which really want to do well, because women bring different kind of a thinking and they bring a lot of diversity into the decision making. Now you even have independent board directors. In fact, I this year went through my course and the exam, and I cleared that with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs so that I could be a certified independent board director. Because if you're not sitting on that table, if you're not in that room, then you are making no difference.
Right.
To
We
anything.
actually
So-
need more women voice on that level, but many
So-
times we have also seen, Dr. Anantaji, that, a lot of organizations have women on board just in letter, not in spirit, and
Yeah, so that is the fault
that
of
is
both
also
sides.
changed.
Yes, so it is the fault of the organization, because a place where they can actually have a voice and they can actually have
Yes.
some intelligent, competent person who can help them, guide them through this problem.
Right.
And at the same time, even for the women, I mean, if you have self-respect, make sure your voice is heard.
Right.
And this is what I was trying to tell you, that it's a tall poppy syndrome because you stand out.
Right. And that onus is on women to make their voices heard.
Yes.
Last question, Miss Agnes, before we go to the next session. How do you see law can help? As you said that, not only women, but people are not willing to go to the courts. They are scared of the entire system. How can we make our laws friendly for people in general and for women specifically?
Actually, our laws are written in such an intricate manner, and our court system is so fuzzy. So it always requires a mediator, a lawyer, somebody to be in between. And it's not in simple language. It is a very complicated system that we operate in. And that's where the entire business of lawyering flourishes. So we have to we are making a lot of laws for women. Everywhere, every day we're making laws for women. But there is no accessibility. So our organization tries to guide the women through this maze, explain their rights in a simple language, and steer them through this complex system. Now, when you say that, how do we make it simpler or easier? I think our clamor should not be for more laws. What we need to fight against is simplifying laws, finding out the mechanisms to access justice. So our organization works mainly in accessing justice. If it is an illiterate woman, if it's a poor woman, if it's a woman who doesn't have money, how does she approach the system? It is these women who really need the legal support, but they don't know how to approach, how to go there. So our NGO works particularly in cases of domestic violence, sexual violence. We work a lot on these areas, and we work so that marginalized women get access to the course. So how do we do this? We have a panel of lawyers. We have entire legal strategies to help and guide women. And you fighting for your rights, you don't have to be a feminist. You have to be a well-versed person understanding law and legal mechanisms. And only then you will succeed. So I don't think feminism is a bad word or a dirty word. Because of feminism and the way internationally women have fought for their rights, right from the right to vote, to study, for practicing law, to be a graduate. So all these are gains of feminism. We
Right.
cannot treat feminism as a dirty word. And I claim that I am a women's rights lawyer. I am a feminist. I've been part of the women's movement for 4 decades now. So, and we have gained a lot, particularly this law on sexual harassment at workplace, Domestic Violence Act. A lot of these rights have come and have helped a lot of women. So in that sense, now today the battle is to accessibility to courts, accessibility to justice, accessibility to simple legal knowledge. And that's where we are poised. And that's what we need to do and work towards.
Right, right. I think, what we have got here is feminism is not a bad word. Being a feminist is not a bad word, but believing in equity is what is required, as Dr. Ananta ji said. What we need is not more laws for women, but simplifying the legal system so that more women can take advantage of that. And what Dr. Ananta ji said is that we are not creating a bias for women workers, but we are trying to give them a better foothold probably in the corporate world along with the men. So I think a lot of initiative has to come from the men professionals also to help their women colleagues, their compatriots. Tough situation, as both our speakers said, that a lot of things need to be done in terms of how we change mindsets. First of all, as Advocate Flavia said, for women to stand up for her rights. And as Dr. Ananta ji said, to succeed in a professional environment, it takes changing of mindsets. It takes standing up for yourself. So on those very wise words from both our speakers of this very inspiring session, let me thank Advocate Flavia Agnes for joining us here. I know, you created Majlis law, and we need more such organizations. Dr. Ananta Singh, you created NAREDCO MAHI. Again, we need more such organizations to bring more women forward to stand up for their economic rights, to stand up for their professional rights. Thank you so much, Advocate Flavia Agnes and Dr. Ananta Singh Raghuvanshi.
Thank you so much, Sapna, for having us here. And we need more women in media like Sapna Srivastava, and we need more lawyers like Advocate Flavia to see more women in real estate like me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Advocate Agnes. Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, we could not have asked for a better closing to this conclave, but an inspirational conversation with these two very dynamic women leaders. So now, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the much awaited segment of this evening. Let me thank all our speakers of the conclave today who joined us, and also the awesome audience for being here with us today and sharing their queries.